Bert Smørenburg, Yamaha special secret booth with the Montage.
Yep, this is the one.
We've been hoping to see a little bit more about the synth engine because we know, that there's a lot going on there, right?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
Shall I explain a little bit?
That would be fantastic.
Well, the thing is, when I explain about Montage, I basically divide it into two layers. The first layer is amazing sounds, and a lot of them. You can edit them really, really quickly. You can layer them, you can split them, you can stack them up using part control, using the scene control. All that stuff is on the surface. Then also you have up until 8 parameters you can use at the same time, and you can control them using the super knob, and the super knob is right here. So to be very honest, I am not particularly interested in the super knob itself. I am interested in the background of it, the fact that you can assign up until 8 parameters, any of them, to the super knob per sound, and you can tweak it in real time, and that makes it a real versatile instrument. But if you want to play with 2 hands, you can also assign the functionality of the super knob to the FC7 foot controller, and that's what I do all the time. So if I play this, feel that you have a lot of control over the sound quality. Under the hood, there are 2 big synth engines, the AWM2 synth and a real FM engine. They have their own polyphony, 128 stereo polyphony, both, so that's really cool. Plus, you can load waveforms in, and that's of course really fun, especially when you demonstrate the instruments with illegal vocal samples and stuff like that. What I like a lot is the FM synth combined with AWM. This is a nice example of that. You can see I'm using the super knob all the time, but only with my FC7 pedal. I'm going to give you another example of this FM synth. As you can tell, I'm using this knob in so many different ways. If I go into category search and I select, for example, a nice soprano sax, very, very bread and butter soprano sax, I can use the super knob for delay, for example. It can be absolutely anything. Another thing I like is all these arpeggiators. There are loads of them. Motion control sequencer means you can have separate pieces of, for example, waveforms sequenced one after another. This is quite difficult to explain in English, but I'm sure you can do a much better job than me. What happens is this. As you can see, the knob, so you can automate the super knob as well. So I have 8 elements and he plays it in a certain order. And of course you can change it in real time. Another example of this dynamic instrument is, for example, a classical organ. Big as you want. If I go to the brand new Seattle sections, I can have a string section like this. And then all only because you can change all these parameters in real time. That's why I love this instrument so much. Another thing I really love, for example, you go into category search and you select a nice piano sound just like that. And then you get into this page. You can see exactly how the piano is built up. And I want to really quickly add a string sound. All I do is I push the plus button, I go into the string area, I select string sound, and I have piano and strings. And as soon as I push Shift Live Set, and this is a really interesting thing, all I need to do is confirm it there, and it is in my live set. So it takes about 5 or 6 seconds to create a completely new patch and store it into your live set. So for the demanding live player, like me, because I play live a lot, this is such an improvement to the previous models. Plus, you will not hear any switching from one preset to the other one. The competition has been doing this for bloody 15 years. Finally, Yamaha got in that area.
You get the overhang, so that the effects and the polyphony overhangs, and you can change.
Exactly. Even the sound itself. So if I, for example, go to, let me see, if I select something like a nice choir, like this, and I switch to another choir, it stays. Hey. You see? Hey, hey, hey. So not only the reverb will keep on sounding, but also the samples. And that's what I love about it. Another thing I really like is the real sidechain compression you can do in here. I just select a preset where the sidechain has already been programmed, and what happens is it is a pad and it is a drum kit. And the pad is a very normal pad, but as soon as a drum kit comes in, the pad will be compressed by the pattern of the kick drum, as you normally do in dance production. And it sounds like this. And it works. That's another thing I really, really like. I told you in the beginning, it also loads samples. You can really go into, for example, waveform importing like this. And of course, you can combine that again with internal sounds. So how is a sound built up? Well, if I go in Exit and I just go into category search, you have loads and loads of categories. Pianos, keyboards, organs, so all the bread and butter sounds are there, but also all the crazy electronic, moving, ambient stuff. It's all there, and loads of them, and they sound amazing. But there's also an init button. If I push the init button, I can select I want to have an init for AWM or an init for FM. This is where you access the engine. So if I push AWM first, and I push the edit button like this, edit, you will get into a typical AWM edit page.
Which is a very powerful engine. I think it's quite underestimated, isn't it, in many ways?
Yeah, and you know why I love it so much? Why I love it so much is the effects section. You have up until 8 insert effects, just like that, which is crazy. And a separate EQ and separate master effects. It's absolutely unbelievable. Plus, this is only one, and you can stack up until 8 and still seamlessly change from one preset to the other one. So if I do the same thing with FM synthesis, and I go out of there, and I select the FM sound, of course, you will hear a sinus tone, which is the beautiful tone,
just the tone
from an FM synthesizer. And you can see part settings, you can have the different algorithms like this, up until 88 different algorithm types.
And there are 8 operators in
yes,
this
there
one,
are 8 operators, as you can see here, all with their own envelopes. You have one feedback, and you will see that if you go into comment to the algorithm, you have one feedback setting, the filtering, of course, a complete effect section over it. Completely separated from the AWM, and then it becomes fun because then you can start combining these two. What I would like to show you is the following. If I go into category search and I just select a normal piano, it says CFX and FM. Why is that? Because basically if I play the piano, I can switch to a real FM synth, and that's really nice. And if I want to see how that is done, I can just go into mixing and I see the whole thing. I can go into motion control, and this is where the super knob comes in, and you see the values of the super knob parameters. So if I turn the knob, you can see exactly which values are controlled. And if I want to change this, for example, like this, you can set the limit. Oh, sorry. You can set the limitation.
So the range. Yeah.
Exactly. You see?
Whether it's positive and negative and that kind of stuff, right?
That's it. And knob auto means you can basically make patterns that the knob will play in a certain way, affecting any parameter you like. So, and this is so powerful. Per sound, and like I said, you can stack so many different sounds on top. So all the stuff that I'm explaining now, you can do per voice, times, I don't know how many times. So that's
I mean, the thing about the an 8 operator FM engine is crazy powerful.
Already, yes. Yeah, and it sounds fantastic. Because for me, I mean, I am a nerd, but I'm also a live player. So it all comes down to the sound quality. And they have done something with the converters. I'm not really sure what it is, but it sounds extremely crystal clear. The low end is incredible. It is an improvement in every way, honestly. I am completely in love with this instrument.
So perhaps we could hear some FM stuff as well.
Okay.
That would be fantastic.
So, for example, if I go into the keyboard mode, and all I need to do is go into FM piano, and if I do this, this is, I mean, it doesn't get any more FM than this. Also, if you go into the basses, you have the typical DX bass. That kind of.
Well, I notice also at the control section here.
Oh yeah.
We've got. Oops, excuse me. You've got indicators on the faders, which is something I've not seen before, to show what the position. So you could, that's really handy.
This is very nice, and this is the scene control. So, for example, if I go into musical effects and I select anything, you can just go from one scene to the other one. So, if I play a pad, and then I go to a different scene, suddenly you have a drum part. And you can switch everything on, you can switch everything off. Assignable knobs, assignable buttons. It's just, I mean, it's all there.
Oh, that's really interesting. I mean, one thing that would be great, I mean, I know you were saying that the sound engine is really kind of where it's at. I mean, have you got any other scenes that you'd like to just take us through, just so that we can hear a bit more?
Well, what I can do is I can, for example, show you the organs, and lots of great organ sounds, if that's what you mean. You know, the amount of distortion. I can switch seamlessly to a new sound. Also, guitars I like a lot, from very acoustic to very heavy metal guitars. The strings I love, as I showed you already. Also, I love the brass sounds because they did a lot of typical. This kind of stuff will definitely be used a lot by live players, but also the mellow brass sound. But also, if you go into keyboards to the Rhodes Gallery, you can immediately hear how dynamic it is.
Lots of really sort of high quality workstation sound,
Absolutely.
as well as all of that extra synthesis.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. So for normal bread and butter, it's all there, but also for the real heavy, hardcore synth editing, it's all there. It's all there, honestly.
So one thing that's been wondered about, I mean, because there's so, I mean, even though there's a lot of control and touchscreen, do you know if there's an editor on the way for some of the deeper parameters? There What about DAW? Because it's not a traditional workstation in terms of track sequences. Can it integrate with the DAW?
Yeah, that's a really good point. The thing is, there is a song recorder in it. We don't call it a sequencer because usually with a sequencer, you're able to fix your mistakes afterwards. In this instrument, you can't do that. So if I go into the sequencer, you will find a very simple 16-track recorder. So as soon as you want to do some real hardcore recording and editing, you can hook it up to your DAW, for example Cubase. And the cool thing about this instrument is if you install the right driver, you will be able to use it as a MIDI controller. You can have all your MIDI channels, but also up until 16 stereo channels of audio, all running through the same audio cable. The USB
so
cable.
over USB, you've got 16 stereo inputs into the DAW.
No, you have yes. Oh yeah, to the DAW. Yes, you do.
Right. Yeah. And will it work? Can you return some stuff into this as well to play through it?
Yes, which is a very important part, especially again for live players as well. There's an audio interface built in. So what you can do, you can have, for example, soft synth you want to play on stage, for example. You can control them using MIDI, but you can hear them back using the audio interface that is built in here, and then the output of your DAW will come out of this instrument. Maybe using the assignable outputs here, and then you have a really strong system. Another thing I like a lot is you can record audio directly to a USB stick. You can play back audio directly from a USB stick. Those things are all covered.
So the track sequencer, just the song recorder,
yes.
Would that record, if you were just sort of riffing about changing scenes, doing that, does that record all of that information?
It records all of that, yes. So it's just for sketching, you know, if you're a composer, you just want to sketch something really quickly, you push record and play and it records whatever you do. But also you can record it multi-timbral, because if I go into category search, what I can do here, for example, is instead of making layer sounds, I basically put them, let me see if I can show you that, like this. I put them next to each other, and then you use part control, and then you can have pianos. Oh, maybe I should turn up the volume, then it sounds better. Then I have a piano here, I have some strings here, some bass here, some drums here, some clavinet here, and then you can use it actually as a multi-timbral recorder.
And can you loop and overlay in the song recorder, or is it's just off you go? That's
it's just off you go.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's nice that it's there. But as soon as you want to go further than that, hook it up to a computer. You're filming, right? Okay. For example, or I can do maybe, I'm gonna like this one too. Shall I play a bit of this?
Yeah.
Okay. Another one I like a lot is this one. Yep.
Yeah.
It was my pleasure completely.